And we're sit on. Yep.
All right. Okay, and we are live. So we're back for another show of the Ascent Entrepreneur Interview Series, where we feature entrepreneurs from all over the world, from totally different backgrounds, about their story, about their gifts and expertise, and always about important things that we want to bring to your attention that we know will add value to you for what you're going through right now in some shape or form. So tonight, I'm excited to have Norm Rosenthal on. He's a New Jersey native. We know each other through a local regional chamber of commerce. And Norm was kind enough to spend some time with us tonight to talk about data security in IT, especially with business, your home office, your virtual office, and even your small business, or even your corporate business. Norm comes from 30 years plus of experience, where he used to work in huge companies like AT&T, UPS, and other Fortune 100 companies. Now he has his own company, Sterling Rose, who he founded back in 2005, if I read that right. And he's got just an incredible knowledge about what it means to simplify your business solutions with the IT that you need, but also what you need to know, especially to be safe, to have protection with all that's going on. So with that being said, Norm, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's good to see you. So let's just start out, with what's going on right now. We're like, we're four plus weeks into this thing, especially in New Jersey. We got on lockdown pretty fast with everything. How are you holding up with running your small business?
It's been good. In terms, a lot of people did some planning, because we sensed some writing on the wall late February, early in March, that something was coming down the pipe, and it was going to either go one of two ways. It was either going to be really bad and everybody's going to be stuck at home, or we'd be living our life like normal right now, and everybody knows which avenue we went down. And one of the the big things is that some businesses have had to close, other businesses have had to make people work from home, and they weren't prepared to have people work from home, because these are people who are in service businesses, so they have dispatchers, and these people don't have laptops, they all have desktop computers. And how do you keep a business operating during these times, but also keep your the security top of mind? Because the last thing that you want to do, is right now we're in a reaction stage. Yep. Is in that reaction, we also have to think proactively of what reaction are we having right now, and how is it going to impact later on, to the business, to the data, right? Because the most important information is not the computer, it's not the equipment, right? The equipment, dime a dozen. Although right now it's quite challenging, because trying to get webcams and other types of small little devices are darn near impossible. As well as monitors and everything else. When I was getting shipments early in March of certain stuff that had been ordered for clients, I asked the UPS guy what's going on, and he's like, he should have bought stock in Staples, because he was delivering chairs and monitors. Pretty much that's the only thing like he saw is like chairs and monitors, and then small boxes. But a lot of people have had to make adjustments, right? And when you make those adjustments, you need to keep in mind, keep your eye on the prize, keep your eye on the data. Is we don't want to make our people work from home and jeopardize our whole business in the meantime.
That's right. So I want to get into this, because guys, thanks for jumping on. Good to see you, Anthony. Good to see you, Wendy. cybersecurity is not the thing we always think about on a daily basis, and we're IT. But what you may not know is that there's a lot of stuff going on right now with this, and we want to bring this to your attention because we want to keep you safe and protected, and we want you to know what you should be doing if you haven't done it yet, to have a safe business that's operating the right way from home as we go through this, whether we are at home for another 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. I missed the press conference today. I know they're going to start rolling out people to come back to work in different states. Unfortunately, I think for New Jersey, we're probably going to be in the last leg of that, whenever that's going to be, just due to our being in the hot spot. But Norm, what are you seeing with the mass amounts of people that are now online because they have to be for business? What are some things that you've seen just in even the last month that pose, risk for the business?
Well, I think the biggest is, people are using their personal computer,
Mm-hmm.
right? To do stuff for work because they don't have a laptop at the office that they could have brought home. So the biggest risk is what data is being taken, or how are people being set up to work remotely that you're protecting, protecting the company infrastructure as well as protecting the data, right? Because everybody's at home and, everybody's on Facebook and, this, that, and the other thing, and everybody's, waiting for their stimulus checks, right? Well, guess who else is waiting for your stimulus check? The bad guys, right? So, I don't remember ever in my life that I've ever gotten an email from the IRS telling me, you need to click here to give us your bank information, or, click this link to check the status, right?
Right.
And when we're stressed, like everybody is, during this, pandemic, we don't always think, oh, I should I click on that? Wait a second. And, we could be, too far in and realize, oh, wait, we have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing also is, Facebook, right? Everybody's on Facebook playing these games, sharing, sharing pictures, their senior pictures. Well, guess who loves seeing those senior pictures? The senior pictures, the hackers love seeing that because, now they can figure out your birthday, they can figure out where you grew up, all that information. If you're going to post a picture, okay, at all, just post a picture, right? You don't need to, give, all the writing and say, oh, I graduated from Morris Knowles in 1978 or something like that.
Okay.
So, be careful, what information you're sharing. And as I tell any of my clients, or tell anybody, it's like your ATM card.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you just willy-nilly just leave your PIN number on your ATM card, like on a sticky note saying, here's my PIN number? Because it's essentially the same thing with data, right? It should be protected in the same way that you're protecting your financial information.
Right. No, you're right. So, I mean, I guess you bring up some really important points, right? Everyone's waiting on their stimulus checks. I know many have come through in the last 24 hours or so. Some are still coming. Some are waiting on their PPP checks if they're in small business, or their EIDL, and all these acronyms that are getting thrown out there now. But you bring up a great point, because people are like, all right, did I get the update? Did I get the update? The IRS has had numerous updates and changed things, and the SBA has made numerous updates and changed things. And you're right. Like, are we supposed to get an email? How do we know if it's the right email? And we click on stuff, even on Twitter, right? The IRS made a tweet today saying, hey, you can access this link to get your stimulus funds faster. So there's all these like different data access points that are getting thrown out there, and we don't know, what to click on. We just assume it's safe.
Yeah. And that's where danger happens, right? So, if you see, a link or something posted, because I saw the same link, on Twitter also, right? Everybody knows the IRS website.
Mhm.
Okay. So if you see something from the IRS, just go into your web browser and type in www.irs.gov, right? You're going to go direct to the website, and anything that you probably saw on Twitter is going to be right there on probably, the main page for, the company.
Mhm.
Don't be, so quick to, click on a link, because, unless you know what you're clicking on to be legit, okay, it can, things can turn south really, really quickly.
It's true. And I want to transition this into what a lot of people are doing right now, especially solopreneurs, small business. Even I've seen massive Fortune 100 companies use Zoom as their choice of platform. And if you haven't seen the news, I mean, it's out there. Zoom's got some pretty big security risks that have been going on, and some questions. So, what do you see right now in terms of, this is how we do business, is the virtual meeting room? Zoom's a popular platform, but there's others. Give us some insight into that. How can we keep this safer?
So one of the things is, with Zoom, either use a waiting room or use a password. Okay. Because, Zoom, anybody can get into any Zoom meeting, okay, by, just figuring out the numbers and, putting up information. And a lot of people haven't. And when this all started, the first week in March, right? Zoom, Microsoft, all of them said, we're going to give the schools, we're going to give any business that wants free Zoom access, free Microsoft Teams access.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, so, it was all well and good. Microsoft had their share of issues also, because on the first day of everything really being locked down, worldwide, everybody's getting on Teams, everybody's getting on these interfaces, and they're all crashing, because they were never designed for the mass scale.
Yeah.
Just like people who've, filed for unemployment, right? In the state of New Jersey, the unemployment system is running on COBOL, okay, which is a 60-year-old programming language, okay, which is shocking. But even so, that system even its heyday, was never designed to take millions of claims all at once, right? For business, downsizes, maybe it's, a few thousand here, a few thousand there and stuff like that, but never, in the millions, of, what's happened. And, a lot of people have been using Zoom because it's free, right? Did a lot of hype about Zoom, but a lot of people also have Microsoft Teams, and they don't even realize that they have it, right? Microsoft Teams is included in Microsoft Office 365 subscriptions. You can do the same type of conferencing with people, sending them a link, Google, I think it's Hangout is one of the ones that's being used, but Zoom has gotten the most press because everybody was using Zoom. And what was happening was, people were getting into these meetings who weren't supposed to, because people weren't putting up passwords, weren't putting up any of the security information. They just needed to have their meetings. And then all of a sudden you have, people joining who you don't even know, okay, and they're sharing their screen and sharing videos, and could completely take, you have a class going on, or you're teaching people stuff, and all of a sudden they're putting up porn, or they're putting up this or that, and people are like, whoa, what's going on here?
Yeah. Well, I mean, my wife runs an entrepreneurial grade school, and she's on Zoom with kids, from ages 6 to 12 every day on Zoom. So like, that would be a huge issue for us.
Yeah. Well, one of the huge issues with Zoom also was, I think it was 2-3 weeks ago when this big security thing came out, is a lot of schools were using it. And when this whole leak came out, all of a sudden, you're two weeks into this thing, and you got your students finally getting used to using Zoom and stuff like that. And everybody took like an about face saying, "Wait a second, we can't be using it. We need security."
Yeah. So what are some solutions to whether it's Zoom or Microsoft? Do we need to get a VPN? Is it do we have to go that far? Do we just do a password protection? Like, what are some things that we should be doing to keep us safe from that kind of threat?
So again, using passwords for your meeting rooms, using waiting rooms, and when you're using a password, right? Don't be just using if I wanted to have a Zoom meeting, just don't use a password of Rosenthal, right? Because if somebody sees the password, they're going to try the obvious, right off the off the bat.
Right.
Another big thing is password managers. Okay. I can't say enough about password managers, but using a password manager requires a whole different way of thinking. Okay. Because we're so used to using the same password over and over and over and over again, right? The other day, I got an alert about, my Zoom account might have been compromised. Well, my Zoom password is its own password. I have like 400 different passwords. I don't know any of my passwords.
That's the most frustrating thing ever. I can never remember my password, so it's like, gosh, I got to change it now.
Yeah, well, exactly. But but what's good is that because you're not using the same password, and a lot of people are using the same password, especially with Zoom, your password just got compromised. Okay. Now, are they in your bank account? Are they in different things that you don't know? Because if everything is that same password, it's you're asking for problems. With a password manager, you only have to really remember one password. Okay. I have some people who just put it in their wallet and just make it a random password.
Right.
It is because this way your password manager contains all of that data. Now, one thing, if you're going through all the trouble of setting up a password manager and setting up security, we recommend using two-step verification.
Okay.
Also known as MFA, multi-factor authentication. So, which means that in order to get in, you have to have two things. You have to have the password, and then you have to have an authentication code, which is randomly changing every 30 seconds. And you can either do that by getting a text message to your phone, or by using an app on your phone where they're changing randomly. Okay. I recommend using the app on your phone because a lot of people don't realize that if their information gets compromised, cell phone numbers can get compromised. And if your cell phone number gets stolen and somebody does the password reset and they have your password and they have your cell phone number, you're not going to even realize that text code has been sent to them and they're in your system.
Yeah, that's great. So I know, like, I use G Suite. I love Google. It's awesome. I think they have their own password manager. Is there one that you recommend that we could check out? Or
yeah, so the two that are the big ones are I use one Dashlane, but there's LastPass, Dashlane. I think there's one password. There are a few of them. It's a subscription. They have free accounts and they have subscription accounts, which is I think like $60 a year. And for $60 a year, you get it so you have your data is in sync. So if you have a password manager on your computer and you're out on the road and you have your mobile phone or your iPad or any other device, all that data is up to date with you that you're walking around. And if you make a change to one of them, then, you can update it on your phone and it updates it on your computer.
Okay, cool. What are some other things? Because I know you know about a lot with IT. What are some other things that you recommend or you work on pretty commonly with your business clients? What are things that pop up that you might be able to share with us that we might want to know?
So one of the things that a lot of businesses learned from Hurricane Irene, which hit the East Coast in 2011, and then Hurricane Sandy or Superstorm Sandy in 2012, is that they learned what they didn't have access to and learned where some of their vulnerabilities are. When we work with a client and we work with anybody, we don't just fix the issue. We look at the whole big picture of, oh, wait a second, you're just logging in with password, right? They're like, oh, well, I don't need to worry about, getting hacked. They're also the same people who call you Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock, sometimes 5 o'clock, that says, my email's been hacked. I haven't been getting email for the last 2 or 3 days. Okay. Yeah. And, if you notice something with your technology, especially with email, because everybody is so much on email, you notice you haven't gotten any email in, I would say a day time frame, possibly, each person's email is different of how much you're getting. Okay. It might mean that you have an issue. Don't wait until the next day or the following day saying, oh, nobody emailed me that day, so it's, not a big deal. Because these things have a tendency to fester and become a lot bigger. Mm-hmm. I'm on, some of my clients who have, gotten hacked, I'm in their address book, okay? And, one of the things, I notice is I get an email that they're sharing a file with me, right? And I'm like, by the way, did you share a file with me? They're like, no. And everybody and their brother is calling me saying that I shared a file with them. I was like, yes, you have a problem. They're like, well, I can't deal with it right now. I'm like, you need to deal with it right now. Yeah. A lot of people have sensitive data, myself included, I have my own sensitive data, but I have my client's sensitive data also, right? And what a lot of people don't think about is other people's data, right? Is I don't only have to protect myself. I have to more protect my clients' data, right? Because the information that I have on clients, okay, could be dangerous if it got into the hands of the wrong people. Yeah. And, I don't want to be that IT company, okay, who ends up having, all their clients get hacked into. And, and we are prime targets.
Well, even going back to Facebook, right? Like I've seen this a ton of times in Messenger, is they use that a lot to try to get people to click on a bad link that hacks into your stuff. And I mean, I keep going back to Facebook, but Facebook has become such a powerful way for, like, if you go on any website to log in, and rather than create a password, you can always, they let you just click on, oh, just log in through Facebook.
Yeah.
Right? So there's always like back interconnected channels. And can you comment on that? Like why, like there's so much risk that goes across all these different sites, right?
Well, correct. And, and everybody says, well, how did my information get hacked? And why did Facebook or this company not know about it for years and years on end? Why is it 3 years down the road and we're just finding out about it now, right? Is because of all that, those interconnectivities. Those are, APIs, which is application programming interface. So this way you don't have to have another username or password to log into a site. It has a connection with Facebook. Okay. Has anybody ever, Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or, whatever your coffee of choice, has anybody ever read the terms and conditions of when you install an app on your phone of what you're agreeing to. I know I have it, but I know, some of the stuff that's in there, and you're consenting to a lot of, different, different information that they have access to, right? And people are wondering, well, how did they get access to this information? Well, guess what? You gave it to them, right? And it's not like they even had to ask for it. You install the app, say, I agree to the terms and conditions, right? That thing's pages and pages and pages long that we would never understand. We're not I'm not an attorney. I don't want to understand it, but you're giving up a lot of privacy right there.
It's crazy how we don't even realize it, but we give away so much without even thinking about it. It's just there in the details, but we got to be safe, right? So, I before we got on the air, good to see everyone. There's a lot more that joined. Steve, Ashley, good to see you. Mark, Tina, Holly, Margaret. If you guys have any questions about this, let us know. We can see them in the chat. I'll ask Norm. So it's going to be interesting. I like this question you brought up before we get on the air. Is what are we learning from this? And if this happens again, hopefully it never happens again. But if we get thrown into this again or worse, what are some things that we need to be really aware of as business owners, or even as personal consumers that use this type of equipment and software every single day? What should we be mindful of to protect and have a functioning business with IT?
So when all is said and done, and this is hopefully over sooner than later, although there's talks that it'll be back in the fall, and when flu season starts up again, which brings up, we just went through Easter and Passover, but you talked about prime flu season, right? You got Christmas and Hanukkah and all those Thanksgiving, all those times that people are getting together. What have you learned, right? Making the reference of Sandy and Irene, what did you learn that you didn't have access to? Well, back then, the big thing was take all your data to the cloud, because businesses lost power. Okay, businesses, lost internet. And without those two key things, power and internet, they go hand in hand. What is, you're dead in the water.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
One thing is, your phones, right? So if your office is closed and you have, traditional phones, older technology, you might not be getting phone calls. Okay. And all of that's achievable by using, voice over IP, and being able to make and receive calls, because when you're a business, you don't want to be calling on your home line or your cell phone and have everybody possibly getting your cell phone. To me, it doesn't matter, because, people have the number, it's very easily anyway.
Right.
But, to other people, when they're calling, privacy matters, right? Then, if you work for XYZ company, okay, and you're calling a customer, you don't want XYZ your customer getting your home cell phone number or your home, home landline. You can just, use your cell phone. There's an app you put on your cell phone and make calls, and the caller ID that they're getting looks like you're in the office.
Right. And that's what you want.
That's a big thing, and that saved a lot of our businesses, especially some of the bigger ones, who have a lot of money, invested in phone systems, aren't using the newer technology. Okay, and not using the newer technology, gives you some, it isn't always the best thing. I'm not saying to be, on top of, to be the best in technology, to be cutting edge or, bleeding edge. But, you can't be like the state of New Jersey, using a 60-year-old, 60-year-old system, right? You're talking about and a lot, none of us, okay, probably even knew that the state, is using such an old, antiquated system, right? Had this not happened, we would have never known that they're on an old system. Just figure, all right, maybe they're on an older system, okay, but not one that's 60 years old.
Yeah.
You know,
We got to talk to the state about this after this is over with. They got some issues. You should go pitch them. They could use your help right now.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's funny because the state put out 2-3 weeks ago that they're looking for people who are retired because nobody knows this programming language, right?
Yeah.
None of the the current people, because it's so old and so antiquated that you got to pull people from retirement, and these people probably can get what they can name their price and be working.
There you go. If you want some avenues for extra money, get creative. Look at the problems that exist. Right, there's a huge problem right there. That's a big problem. This is awesome. So as we wrap up, Norm, I mean, is there anything else that you would recommend with a small business right now that we should be thinking about? Like if you were to walk into someone's doors, what are some things that you're checking out?
So one of the first things that we check out when we go to any business is, and actually even before we walk in the door, sometimes because the client will have emailed us some information, is to see what type of platform they might be on with their email. Okay, is are they using hosting their own email? Are they using G Suite? Are they using Office 365? What type of system are they using? Because that can tell us a lot before we even walk in the door, okay, of some of the things that we might be looking for and trying to find.
Mm-hmm. Good to know. So what kind of things have you seen in the last 4 weeks with businesses? Like where have you seen the bottlenecks, and where, if a business owner is watching this right now and they want to either get back to work or make sure they're prepared and have things mitigated for things in the future, what kind of things do you have, like an offer or an inspection or anything that you can do with companies to help them right now?
Yeah, we can absolutely help any company. It's really we each thing we deal with is personal. So we go into a company or speak to them on the phone, so we can get information, find out what some of their concerns are, find out are they working from home? Okay, how are they working from home? Are they using LogMeIn? Are they using terminal services, right? And what of those systems do they have that are that they might be taking for granted, okay, that they're using right now and are very good to use, but they're not using them properly? And when we say they're not using them properly, it means that if they can log in, okay, well, guess what? So can somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And it all goes back to security. It's a balancing act.
Yeah.
Right. You throw security up here, convenience goes way down here.
Right.
You throw convenience up here, where security goes. So it's sort of a balancing act. We always say we want the technology to be the tool, not to be the control. People will tell me, they're like, this doesn't work and that doesn't work. I'm like, okay, well, tell me what you're trying to do. I don't care that, I care that it doesn't work, but tell me what you're trying to achieve.
Right.
Okay, because there might be a better way to do it. Okay, we're not looking to, retrain you or change the way you do things, right? We're looking to make it better and easier for you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, this has been good. I've taken some notes as you've been talking about, making sure you have a password manager. I'm going to check some of those out, and two-step verification system. I wrote that down. And making sure you have a password if you use Zoom. Got to make sure you use a password in a waiting room.
Yeah. But listen, you can never be too secure, right? It's always better to err on the side of security than to err on the side of, convenience.
You have to in this day and age. There's just so much going on. So as we wrap up, what do you let's make it more light. What are you looking forward to once we're out of stay at home?
I'm looking forward to hopefully, being able to travel and, be able to go away, because I, had to cancel or had canceled on me, numerous trips, thus far. I would just like to see the kids go back to school, so I could, have some, peace, even if it's only for a week, even if it's only for a day, because one of the things that nobody is focusing on right now, because we're too busy being reactive,
Mm-hmm.
is what is the impact on the children?
Yeah.
Right. Yes. This is the group that isn't social anyway. They like to be always on their technology, but now you force them to always be on their technology. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's nothing, you can't leave the house.
Yeah.
And they're having no other interaction with any other any of their peers, which we already had, even well before this, a lot of peer pressure and a lot of mental health issues for the kids that they go through and stuff like that. This is just making it worse.
You bring up a good point. And I have another question since you brought this up, is the kids, because they're exposed to all sorts of stuff online, right? And especially I have young kids. I have kids that are 7, 4, and 1. I was literally talking about this yesterday with Lindsay. They watch a lot of YouTube Kids, and some of the content, even on there, if you listen to it, you're like, I don't know, like I think this is a little inappropriate. Like, we need to censor this, or we need to be protective of what our kids get exposed to. So even security in that way.
Yeah, it's a big problem, especially in this household and stuff like that. That every time I turn around and secure something, the kids find another way into TikTok or YouTube, or they're on the TV doing YouTube, or they're through the cable doing YouTube, and I'm like, how are you doing this?
Yeah.
And so funny story is, about a week ago, my daughter came, she's on spring break this week. And she came down and she's like, I can't use my computer. And the night before, I had let her use my iPad, to be on a Zoom Passover Seder. Well, when she was on the iPad, she went into one of the apps, which controls some of her technology, and she changed it. Now, what she changed it to was she put on further blocks that she couldn't do anything, instead of allowing herself to do things. So, she actually worked against herself. But these kids are sneaky.
Yep. No, I mean, my 7-year-old, I swear, he's a genius. He's on YouTube and all these cool gaming things. They got Twitch, and all sorts of cool stuff. It's just a whole nother world than what we've even seen. So I'm trying to learn from them. And he's 7. So it's crazy. Well, thank you for jumping on tonight.
Oh, no, thank you for having me.
It's good to see you, and I appreciate you sharing what you know. Guys, cybersecurity is huge. It's we don't talk about it a lot, but it's something you need to take care of, and make sure you're set up right. If you want some more information, check out Norm. Where can they find out more about you, Norm?
You can go to my website, sterlingrosellc.com or sterlingrose.com. You can Google Norman Rosenthal, but when you Google Norman Rosenthal, put in something else besides Norman Rosenthal computer, and Norman Rosenthal NJ, because there is a Dr. Norman Rosenthal. I am not a doctor. I'm not an MD, but there is a Dr. Norman Rosenthal.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Norm. Be
Thank
well, you. And we'll see you on the flip side of this when we get out of this soon.
All right, great.
All right, take care.
Bye.